What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Champion Living Podcast, where we believe that consistency, perseverance, and not taking life too seriously are the keys to success. I'm Doug, the founder and owner and head coach of Champion Living Fitness. Each week, I'll be joined by my coaching staff with the vision of providing trustworthy information about fitness, nutrition, and mindset, and how this all applies to being a professional rodeo athlete, as well as people from all walks of life. Are you ready to become a champion? Let's go.
So we're playing ball over here. So we got baseball on the brain. We have 4 games this week.
How much did you know about baseball until you
nothing? I know that you throw the ball and a guy has to try to hit it, and then you got to go around the bases. Yeah. And that was pretty much my expertise at baseball until now. I'm pretty much a pro now. So thanks
hit
to
the ball after
a whole day.
Well, we've had 2 games. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I have double the experience you think I have.
So you've got an hour and a half worth of experience.
3 hours. Our games are take an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half. So 3 hours. So yeah.
Who organized your league?
We play 7 innings, big dog.
Oh my gosh! They're trying to kill those kids.
I didn't realize that it is. I thought it would be really quick. The games would be really quick. It's just a home run derby, is all it is, because we have no fielding skills. So if somebody gets a hit, it doesn't matter if it goes 3 feet in front of home plate or if it goes to the grass. They're getting on base. It's at least getting to first base. Chances are you're going to get to second. So it's just. They score when we're at bat. It's like. They cap you at 7 runs. You can't get any more than 7 runs an inning. And we max them out just about every single inning. I think the last 2 games I've seen, it's been like 33-20 and 42 to something around. Like, it's just crazy how many runs they're getting.
In other words, there's absolutely zero development in this.
Well, the kids are doing okay, but they're also, it's Callan's age 3, 4, 5. You know what I'm saying? Like 6. Yeah.
It's easily my favorite thing to watch on social media is the video of these little kids, because it is absolute chaos.
Yeah, it honestly has been pretty fun. And the junior rodeo thing has totally equipped us for this. We rock up and people are like, these people mean business. They would never know that this is our first year playing ball, because we got the wagon with the Yeti. We got the rug that rolls out. We got the nice folding chairs. We got a bag full of toys. We set up shop, and people are like, oh, look at you guys. I'm like, you have no idea. This is a day off for us.
Yeah.
This only lasts for an hour and a half. This is easy. So anyway, yeah, we are in ball season. We had a game last night, the night before. We have tonight off, but tonight's gymnastics and church, and then we have a game tomorrow night and a game on Friday. So they're running us all over the place, with Conley being on one team and the boys being on another team. But it's It's
you
good.
Just dad flexed all over everybody so hard right there.
Yeah. That was my game plan. That was my game plan. It's actually
really
intimidated.
You should be.
So far, it's not so bad. I'm sure that by this time next week, I'll be like, when am I leaving again? Can I leave tonight? Can I be gone now?
Doug needs me at OPA. I'll see you later.
OPA. I don't care how much it costs. I'm going. I'm just gonna fly out there myself, so I don't have to go to
up one morning in a rental car. What are you doing? I couldn't take it anymore. I fucking hate baseball.
Just drove extra time away from home. We have a couple next week. We have a couple games that are like Conley plays at this place at 6 p.m. and the boys play at a different place at 6 p.m. And so we'll be dividing and conquering, and so that'll be a lot of fun. But anyway, it's good. Kanan last night. Kanan had 2 hits, got on base twice, and he did awesome. Callan hit a foul ball, really solid foul ball, went a solid 10 feet, which is what else can you? And the coach even said, the coach was like, man, I'm not going to lie. Callan actually did really good. He didn't get distracted until the last little bit, which he's, he's 3. So he was like, he did way better than I was anticipating. So it was cool. He's pretty much going to be a professional baseball player, I'm sure.
Was Callan hitting off a tee?
No. It's no tees around here, big dog.
Tees.
We play the ball. Dude, we play the ball. Underhand.
Yeah.
But it's coach pitch, so
yeah.
There's no tees. if I have a Tourette's fit during this podcast, I don't actually have Tourette's. I am the Lord of the Flies. I have hung a fly trap and it is covered up already, and I have 47 flies swarming around me. There was one crawled across my camera during our podcast with Courtney yesterday.
I saw
And
that.
I missed it. How did I miss that?
I don't know, but
I only saw it because it happens to me too, and I'm like paranoid about it happening again. Yeah. I'm gonna send you a bug
I'm gonna
gun.
lose it. I'm telling you, man. I'm
sending you a bug gun.
Yeah, I
don't know if
need
that'll
something.
help. It sounds like he's got an infestation.
You need a bug grenade.
Yeah, I need something.
Flies are the worst.
Oh, I didn't tell you guys. I became a flag football coach yesterday afternoon.
Oh, look at you go!
Yeah, speaking of intimidating, yeah,
those kids were scared to death of you, or what?
No, I have no idea. I didn't know the rules or anything. Like during T-ball season, like Heather would try and make me go out and like help the coach on the field, and I'm like, this isn't my sport. Like I don't like baseball. I don't know anything about baseball, and so I'd like try and make her go out there, and then she got the email. She got the email yesterday. Well, no, I would go out there.
You go, woman. I ain't going out there.
You got this.
Well, I don't know any bulls out there. I ain't going.
It's not mine.
Cowboys don't play baseball.
She did make me go out there several times, but yeah, yesterday we got the email that we needed more volunteer coaches for the 6 and under flag football, and I was like, crap. But turns out I don't know anything about flag football either. I watched a quick little video on YouTube about like the rules of flag football. I'm like, this is way different than regular football. I don't know anything about this. So we'll see how that
different
goes.
is
I'll
it?
keep you updated.
Besides, you can't tackle them.
The positions are different. You can't not just tackle. You can't even touch. There's like no blocking or anything.
Right. It's just a hike and a QB, and then
there's a center and a quarterback, and then the center splits out, and he's a receiver too. So it's basically you have 4 receivers, and then once that person catches the ball, it's just them versus the rest of the team. Like there's no help at all.
No blocking or anything.
No blocking. You can't even like swat the person's hand trying to grab your flag. Like so I've got to look into it. I've got a lot to learn in the next 2 weeks before we start. So
that's going to be awesome.
Cool, though. Yeah, it's good, man.
I think it'll be
really
fun.
How long is the season?
Like 4 or 5 weeks.
And then how long do you have practice, like a couple weeks before the season starts, or
we're supposed to have practice is supposed to be for 2 weeks. So they're supposed to have practice next week, but I will be gone.
Yeah.
And she said that's not a problem because she just needed a coach. So we'll have 1 week of practice, which will probably be like 1 or 2 days of practice basically, and then we'll get after it. And the only thing I'm really intimidated about is trying to teach a bunch of 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds how to catch a football, because I haven't really been working with Cannon on like catching a football, but just trying to explain it to them. Like they shy away from it really bad. Like they pull away. And so like you'll like teach them like, this is how you hold your hands out here, like watch the ball. And then as soon as it comes at them, they like they flinch away. Yeah. And
my kids
like,
are pansies too.
How are we gonna play a game where there's only tossing the ball and no we can't catch it? So
underhand tosses.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be.
Lots
it's going to be like shovel passes and maybe some handoffs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You need a coach ball game, but for flag football.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do some Googling later and see if there's not somebody that not some flag football guru out there on the social media interwebs. I'm
sure there is. That coach ball game that Paul turned me on to he's awesome, man. I love his content, and it's like he puts content out specifically for Little League parents and players and stuff, and like, hey, like if your kid's having trouble with this, like this, here's a drill for it, or there's a lot of it just about being
advice for parents.
Yeah, being the etiquette of being a Little League parent, and so rodeo. Yeah, well, that's for sure. Well, and rodeo's a little different because of the danger involved. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, one of the things he's talking about is the dad that like hangs on the chain link behind home plate, constantly reminding his son of how important this at bat is, or whatever, when it really doesn't matter. Well, so he says, the other dad goes and hangs out, out the chain link on the backside of the outfield, and he just smiles and watch and cheers when things go well and cheers when things doesn't go well. Which kid do you think did better? And it's like, and so I tried to kind of relate that to rodeo, and I'm like, man, if my kid was getting on bucking horses, I'm sorry, but there's no way I'm sitting in the stands. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No.
I'm not going to probably like try to be
But you're not
barking at
sitting
him the
there
whole
saying,
time. But
we need this win.
yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's
you're like,
exactly
hey,
right. So
do the basics, and it's going to go good for
Yeah.
whatever you get on.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. I think
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
a perfect mix, bro. I'm the same.
yeah.
I'm the
Yeah,
same.
it's such a he's such a good follow though, a good content. If you've got kids in little league, or you maybe at some point in time will have coach in little league, I would highly recommend following him because his content style is great. It's easy to watch. He does a really good job with it, and it's actually very educational, and kind of pretty comical too. Some of the stuff he puts out there is pretty funny. So
yeah, he's just got a really unique coaching style too, and that's one that I'm going to try and adopt as I go on this little football adventure. Is like he gives all the kids like nicknames, and he does like a lot of like team building stuff, and it's all about them having fun over everything else. And so like as long as they're having fun and they feel like they are I don't know, like contributing maybe would be the right word. Like they feel important within the game. Like that's like the most impactful thing that they're going to carry with them once they, kind of graduate up.
It sets the stage for so many other things. These sports at a young age really sets the stage for what they feel like they're good at or not good at. Oh, well, I'm not good at that. Well, maybe we just didn't work at it hard enough or whatever, And so I've even caught Conley. Her game was Monday night and she didn't get a hit, and she struck out 2 or 3 times. And then fast forward 24 hours and Cannon gets 2 hits. Callan even gets a piece of the ball. And she's like, I'm just not good at hitting. And I'm like, no, we just need to practice more. It's not that you're not good. We go out here and she hits half the ones I pitched to her. Like, she does awesome. It's just kind of the game situation. She just needs to practice more. And so creating an environment in which it builds confidence in them and doesn't tear them down is huge, no matter what you're doing, whether it's junior rodeo, whether it's little league, whether it's flag football, and helping them understand that they're not inherently, just like that growth or fixed mindset we've talked about, they're not inherently good or bad at anything. We can, sure, you might be more inclined to do something over somebody else, and have more quote unquote natural ability, but you can do it just as well as they do if you work hard enough at it. Easy. And that's something that I did not pick up on, and I just naturally, thought that I was bad at math. So what did I do? Shied away from math. Well, fast forward, I use math, pretty complicated math, on a relatively regular basis, calculating percentages for clients, looking at all kinds of stuff. Like, it wasn't that I was bad at math. It was that I was uninterested, and I probably had a teacher somewhere along the way say, hey, this might not be your best subject. And so I bought into that idea. You know what I'm saying? I bought into that idea that I just wasn't good at math. Well, I just needed to practice.
And when we were
Same thing
growing
with
up,
sports and stuff.
like fixed mindset, growth mindset, the way we were taught was way different than kids are taught today. Like that was how it was. It was like, maybe you aren't good at this. Maybe you need to try something else. I was told the same damn thing. I took college algebra 4 times. I just couldn't get it. And it's literally not because I'm dumb. I just hated it. Every time, halfway through the class, I'm out. Like, this is so, I couldn't do it. And same thing as you. Put math in front of you about something you're interested in, nutrition, water at maxes,
geek out on it all day.
Yeah, like, and it's no problem. So it's all about how it's applied, and like you said with sis, like, you go practice that thing. Like, and it sounds like it's more of a game time intensity thing, maybe getting to her a little bit if she's hitting that many at home. But that's what you just, just the basics, dude. Just keep focused on the ball. Nothing else matters. Drown everything else out. Just focus on that ball. You're gonna whack the shit out of it. Yeah. And then she will.
She can slug now. I'm telling you, she ain't scared to freaking. She gets a piece of it. She can slug it. So I'm excited. I'm excited for her to just kind of like see over the nice thing about how hot and heavy the season is. And I've done nothing but complain about how busy we are for the next 5 weeks. But the nice thing is that they're going to regularly see improvement. because we do have multiple games a week. And so we go to the game at like Monday, she didn't get hit. Well, guess what we're going to do this week? Not at 5 a.m. drill sergeant style, but like, hey, do you guys want to go hit some balls? Oh yeah, let's go. So we're going to be practicing batting. Well, she plays again on Friday. And so she's going to get to go. Chances are she's going to get a hit. Oh, we see progress. We see improvement because it is a relatively busy schedule with multiple games. And so a week. And so they'll get to see that improvement as they go, which I think is going to be really exciting for them. And there's a junior rodeo family that their son plays in Conley's league on a different team, and we play them this Friday, so that'll be fun. They were together at the Whippoorwill Rodeo on Saturday. The dad ropes calves, and so the boy that's on that team was there, and he was talking with Conley, and they were talking smack back and forth about who was going to win and stuff. So it'll be cool to be able to see them and yeah, she'll have somebody else she knows out there. So
that's awesome, dude. Yeah, no, they're going to get way better a lot faster. You got to do the thing, put in the reps. And the more often you're getting those reps in, the better they're going to get at it. And that's for anything, man. That's so important. And they're going to build so much confidence through this process that's what I think is so important about doing these sports at a young age is what they gain so much they get from it. That's not the sport. They learn how to be successful in life and how to overcome adversity. And I mean, you're building their foundation right here. So it's cool, man. They're going to be good at whatever they do. And you guys are stepping up, being leaders and coaches for them is even cooler. And it's going to make you better coaches as well. Probably just more patient coaches.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
If you can, if you can coach 15 5-year-olds, you can probably handle one 19-year-old bull rider. You know,
maybe
pretty similar wavelengths. Pretty similar wavelengths. So man, I saw. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Well, I saw a meeting of the minds. What was going on with Nick and Beastmaster? He had like John Young and Josh Frost and Marcus Mast, and then I'm gonna miss 3 or 4 that were equally as talented bull riders. They were like all gathered together, hanging out. Were they in a rodeo somewhere, or what were they?
No, doing? they're doing a content week.
Oh wow!
So they're all at the Beastmaster headquarters this week, and they're gonna buck some bulls and shoot some content and just
they're getting 2 weeks of that stuff. Beastmaster's there, and then they come straight to our school.
To
That's
do
awesome.
The same
thing. So that's awesome. Yeah, I saw that too. It had me fired up.
And I was like, what a star-studded lineup of bull riders right here.
Just makes me excited to be like when I see things like that, to be a part of that team, because it's those guys are guys that I want to be around. That's who I want to be, surrounded by, and they're all winners. And Nick's a winner, and that whole Beastmaster crew, they're all winners. Like that's what it's about, and it just fired me up seeing it. Like you were saying, it's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah,
see what they're doing. Here's the deal. Lots of rodeo gear companies are coming out, but not all are equal. Beastmaster is really setting the bar when it comes to the equipment that is built for durability and designed for success in the arena. You guys can check them out at beastmasterrodeo.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving24. That's ChampionLiving24. Going to save you a little bit at checkout. Hey guys, we got some exciting news for you. If you're listening to this, we know that you're committed to upping your game in the arena. And we're teaming up with the Rodeo Now app to help you do just that. The Rodeo Now app allows you to record, upload, and catalog your rides and runs, review your performances in slow motion, and our favorite feature, if you're not familiar with your stock draw, you can search your animal by name to get all the intel you need to make your next ride a winning one. Join the rodeo revolution today and download the Rodeo Now app for free. It's available in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. What I was going to say a second ago is we're kind of getting to that time of the year. No, you're good. Getting to that time of the year where injuries are happening a little bit. We're starting to see some guys get hurt, having to sit out, feeling sore, feeling crummy already. And I'm usually hearing this from guys that have been going pretty hard already this year. This is not coming from the elite level guys. I'm hearing this from the guys who have been going hard since last October and are sitting, and they're in the top 40 now, and they're going to be nowhere near that because they didn't take the advice. that is out there. And so I really want to talk about, this isn't going to slow down. We're going to, as the season picks up, injuries are going to pick up. It's inevitable. First example, Tyler. Like, you're going to get hurt.
Exhibit A.
Yeah. And he made a great post yesterday about injuries are inevitable. There is nothing that he could have done differently there except for maybe not get off on that part of the ground. Like, it just is a fluke deal. It happens, right? And those things we can't control. But I know that his strength and stability that he had in his shoulder prevented that break from being a lot worse. So there's things that, you're mitigating the severity of an injury, or you're mitigating a potential injury. But what do we do when we're hurt? Like, riding through it, training through it, is that appropriate? Should you not do anything? I think that's the question a lot of people have. And first of all, first and foremost, we're not doctors. So what we're saying is not medical advice whatsoever. These are strictly our opinions based off of our experience as a strength and conditioning specialist. So just get that out of your head that we're not doctors.
I think to go along those lines, like, step number one is, if you do have an injury, is to get evaluated by a medical professional. And then you can take whatever advice we give here following and apply it to your situation, because each situation is going to be completely different. I think if we think about the most common types of injuries that we normally see, can you train through them? Absolutely. But there's definitely injury scenarios where you don't want to. You need to rest and take time off.
Well, that's where we've talked about this a lot, but the sports training team, the athletic training team, if you will, consists of a doc, athletic trainers, PTs, strength and conditioning coaches, nutritionists, dietitians, all these things as one, and they all work together and communicate, right? Again, rodeo is different because this is an individualized sport. Usually if a guy gets hurt, he goes to the doctor assesses him, evaluates him, finds out what's going on, and it does it early. Like, I want to talk about a couple of things when we're getting diagnosis. Go to the doctor if you think you're hurt. Don't sit there and be tough, because an early diagnosis is going to help so much on the recovery side. If you need to get operated on, they're going to fix it before your body starts trying to heal itself and accounting for it's creating an imbalance, right? Trying to heal itself and take over for the weakness that just occurred in that injury. So you're also preventing the further damage of whatever you've done if you're getting the diagnosis. I always say go get checked out. My rule is, like, after 3 or 4 days, if you're that guy and you haven't gotten checked out and it's not getting any better, you definitely need to go. And you're going to meet him, Anthony, at the school. Anthony Bonifer is one of my clients. He's been a client forever. The kid is so hungry and just has the worst luck. Like, he'll ride bulls great and his get off and something will happen. And I remember one time his ankle, it wasn't like, it didn't even swell up bad. It was just like hurting him all the time. And I'm like, the way he described it, I said, I think something's fractured in there. Like, it doesn't sound right when you're moving. Go get it checked out. And so a month went and got it checked out, and he had a crack straight up his tibia. And the doc was like, how in the fuck are you walking around right now? Like, you were the toughest individual I've ever seen in my life. But that's just how the Cowboys are, like, we're just tough and we're going to get through it. But you can minimize so much BS that you're going to have to deal with if you just go get it done. Go get it looked at. They're going to tell you you sit out or it's good to go. It's one way or another. And the sooner you figure that out, the better. Also, utilizing images. We can't tell you anything. The PT can't tell you anything they need to look at what's going on the inside, right? So getting an MRI, an X-ray for clear diagnosis is a really good idea. It accurately identifies the actual problem going on. And again, a professional is going to tell you if you need that. So your first stop, if you think that you are injured, is going to a doc or sports med, someone that can refer you to a professional to find that out. And then based off of the news that you get from them, your coach or your, trainer can make a plan for you from there. But cool. I'm glad that you brought that up, Paul. Moving on from that, let's talk about recognizing some symptoms that we've seen with athletes. How long is the pain lasting? Like, how all these things can dictate whether, you're injured or we've just a little bit sore.
That's it right there. Hurt or injured? Jim Dewey Brown, he's the commissioner of the college rodeo now, but he used to be the coach at NMSU before I was there, and that was one of the sayings that got left after he went is somebody kind of lay still after a bareback ride in the arena. Are you hurt or injured? Like there's a difference there. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're hurt, we can train through a little bit of hurting, right? Injury is something that's completely different. And I think that's when we start to talk about, like, is it kind of a dull ache? Is it a sharp pain? And can we distinguish between the two? Obviously, if you break your arm, well, maybe Anthony won't, but if you are going to completely break a limb, I had a client, Levi Walters. He thought he had forearm splints.
Oh, I
he had a
remember
crack
that.
in his forearm and rode bareback, got on 3 bareback horses with a broken arm, thinking it was just forearm splints. So we've all been there before. But if there's some sharp pain that's accompanying this injury, that's exactly the time to go and get it looked out. Sharp pain, definitely a injury predictor. If it's more like a dull ache, it can be, again, not a medical diagnosis from me, but it typically is going to be more muscle soreness, right? We have something else going on. And I have a lot of times, I had a steer wrestler who's like, man, my shoulder, it just gets, is there some stretches or some things I can do for my shoulder? I'm like, it's blunt force trauma, dude. Like, I mean, some of these things, he wasn't injured, he was just hurt, and it was from sliding down and that steer's horn, right? Like, and just continually hitting. So there's a difference between being hurt or injured, but the pain that you're feeling, a lot of times we want to take stuff to cover up the pain. We're on like Aleve and Tylenol and maybe stronger stuff. And there's a time for that. But the pain is really one of your biggest signals to let you know, do I need to go get this checked out? Or is this something I can ride through or train through?
Mm-hmm.
I think a really good indicator also is if the pain goes away after you warm up. It's a really good indicator that it's more like strain than tear or sprain or something really serious, and that's a good sign usually. But again, that's not a medical diagnosis. That's just something that I've noticed with me and with athletes. If that pain doesn't go away every rep, it's consistent, like something's wrong. We need to go get that looked at.
It usually is. It can be like tendonitis, something of that nature, right? Like you get it, when you wake up in the morning and you've been still for 6, 7, 8 hours, it's like, wow, I'm sore. But you get up and you get moving around a little bit and you like feel a lot better. That typically ends up being something to do with tendons. You're not injured, in my experience.
I'm sure you guys do too, but I preach, like, movement is medicine. And so like a good indication is if the pain starts to subside with movement, then we're okay. If movement makes the pain worse, that's when we back off.
Absolutely. And
that's exactly right.
Some other indicators: swelling, bruising. You can say whatever you want to yourself, but those two things are your body's signals saying, we're dealing with an injury here. We're trying to, like something has happened. Swelling often can times accompany an injury. Bruising indicates trauma. I'm not saying those things mean that you have to sit out or anything like that, but paying attention to signals and signs like that is a good idea, and not ignoring that, right? Saying, I don't know, for instance, getting kicked in the knee or something like that, and it swells up to the size of a softball and it's black and blue. It's like, well, you should probably do some strength tests to see if you can get on, if that's even feasible, and workout wise, probably should wait till the swelling goes away and those things subside until you try and get it moving again. But again, if those things are there and they're lasting, you need to go see a doc. Just go get the professional to help you. But if you're sitting there and you're looking at, an injury you just had and it's a few days later and that thing's still really swollen, it's a good indicator to go get it looked at. It's probably not going to go away on its own. What about how long pain lasts? I think it's really
you kind of alluded to it earlier, in that, like, I mean, if it's really painful for more than a few days, like, I'm gonna have you go get checked out. Hey, let's get an answer. We can't do anything until we have an answer. And if that pain is something that's limiting your ability to move, we really need to go and figure out what's going on, because there's nothing we can do in the weight room. And when people are like, hey, my shoulder's feeling messed up and I've lost a range of motion, my first question is going to be, have you had it looked at? What did they say? Oh, no, I haven't had it looked at yet. Well, I can't do anything for you until we have it looked at. Like, it's the Hippocratic Oath, right? Like, do no harm. I'm not going to program some rehabilitation exercises for you if you're saying there's sharp pain in there and we have no idea what's going on. You have to go get it looked at. So that typically speaking, if you're having a hard time even just moving, like your movement is limited, there's probably some sort of injury in there that we need to know about. Whereas if it's like manageable discomfort, and it's so tough too, because everybody's pain tolerance is a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've had conversations with guys who are like, man, I'm sore. And I'm like, we're talking through, and I'm like, okay, cool. Can you rate it for me on a scale of 1 to 10? And they're like, oh, it's probably a 2. I'm like, bro,
why are we
having this conversation? Like, why are we even having this conversation? And there are other people that they're hurting way more than you would know. Levi riding 3 bucking horses with a broken arm. Everybody's pain tolerance is a little bit different, but if it's typically manageable discomfort, it's likely just some muscle soreness, something going on with the tendon. It is very helpful for us to have a professional diagnosis so that we know how to move forward with those things. Yeah.
It's like needed.
Yeah. A good self-monitoring tool, delayed onset muscle soreness usually subsides around 72 hours. So if, you're looking at 72 hours post impact or whatever, and past hurtness, past injury, and you're still experiencing those things, then it's either one, rest is now the prescription, or you need to definitely get looked at.
I 100% agree. That's good advice. Let's break it down now. Say someone has been diagnosed, they have a injury. What do we do now? Do we go to the gym? Can we keep training? And let's say they don't have any like restrictions with their other extremities, right? Let's say a broken arm. Okay. Do you just sit on the couch the whole time waiting? What can you do? Tyler, I'm going to have you look something up and maybe be able to find it. But there's a study that talks about resistance training throughout the recovery. Yeah.
I think it's some sort of, it's like you can maintain a certain percentage of strength in the injured arm by training the uninjured arm.
Yes. And
so like, doing a bicep curl with your good arm, even though your other arm is broken, you'll actually maintain some strength in your broken arm by utilizing the one that you
or even, and I may be wrong, but you think it even showed an increase in recovery time.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
But
I think you're right.
I'm going to let Tyler kind of spin through that and see what he can find. For us, our advice is you definitely don't sit around. Okay. And granted, every injury is going to be different. If you have a broken femur or something like that, there's going to be very limited things you can do, right? And there's going to be strict guidelines from your doctor that you're going to have to follow. But there's going to be ways that you can move. And upper versus lower body focus is going to be my first thing. Upper body exercises, if your lower body is injured, is a great start. Vice versa. And again, these don't even have to be loaded. They don't have to be resistance. They don't have to have weight. They can start with just body weight and putting tempo to that. That added time under tension is going to equal out to essentially if you're adding weight to the movement. Hui has the best gear because it's tough. It's durable. It withstands the test of what we put it through. And that is why I am a big supporter of Hui brands. Guys, from hats, apparel, whatever you need, they've got you covered. They are the perfect blend of rodeo style and athletic performance. You can check them out at huibrands.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, is going to save you a little bit at checkout.
No, that's exactly. You know who has documented that, and I personally I think has done a really good job of it is Kyle Jones. He
Yes.
recently had a shoulder surgery,
Yeah.
and he posted all kinds of videos of like some of the stuff he was doing while he was still recovering, and some of the videos. I mean, he's got his shoulder in a sling, and but like he bounced back from that injury so much faster because once the doctor said, okay, good, like you can get back to activity outside of your surgical arm, right? Like you can get some, man, he kind of got to work and was really strategic. I think his wife is a physical therapist or something along those lines. So he's got some really solid guidance there, but
Tyler,
yeah,
did you find
movement
somebody?
is medicine.
Still, that's badass.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's huge. Like
Yeah.
when you start thinking about it, because the atrophy that's going to happen naturally during an injury like that, or especially after a surgery or just being casted up and not being able to move is, I mean, it's huge. And we see it all the time. Guys get released and they go right back to it. And yeah, the bone is technically strong enough, right? Is healed, but that muscle around it that really controls everything. I mean, it's not ready at that point in time. So if you can preserve the strength by continuing to train the opposite extremities, it's like a no-brainer, right? I do think that obviously isn't something you just go and do by yourself. I think I would hire a coach for that at least time period to make sure that's supervised and programmed correctly and, you know, everything. But you got to keep moving. Don't stop. You know, don't stop moving. And like even when I had my back fused, I could walk. That was it. The doc was like, you can lay down or you can stand up and you can walk. And that was my goal. And for, I think it was 8 weeks, that's all I could do. And it went, I was so sore, dude. And stairs and all that stuff was like really tough for me just because of how just tender everything was. It cut me front and back and all the muscles had been split. So I went from 100 yards was like, I was sweating. It was tough. But over that 8 weeks, I got to like 3 miles and just consistently going to it. And I think that aided my recovery time big time because I got it to get out of my brace and my bone growth stimulator like 2 weeks earlier than they'd anticipated.
Yeah. And the reason that is increased blood flow. So I've got several clients out with broken bones right now. And so I've been, researching like, what can we do to help speed up the healing process? Is there any supplements we can take? Is there any like strategies we can use, recovery tools, anything that we can do to help increase bone growth, or increase the time of recovery? And the kind of consensus among all of the research and stuff is improved blood flow. And so if you can, doing any type of cardiovascular training is going to help. Stay away from icing the affected area because icing restricts blood flow and reduces inflammation. The inflammatory response from your body is actually a good thing. That's what is helping the recovery process. So you need a certain amount of inflammation. Obviously, we use anti-inflammatories all the time when it becomes too uncomfortable to bear. But if you are trying to speed up your time of injury, you need some type of inflammatory response. So icing is bad, but sauna showed to be good at increasing blood flow because the heat in the location was it helps bring oxygen to the affected area and it can speed things up a lot.
And not to mention the tissue remodeling that's taking place in healing, right? And so if you're immobile, if you're still, right, and all that scar tissue develops and the tissues are healing, you're going to have a much harder time getting back into movement. Whereas if you can continue movement through, mind you, maybe not of the affected limb, right? If you had elbow surgery, it's probably not helpful for you to do bicep curls, but by continuing to move, not only are you going to increase blood flow, but we're going to help that tissue healing process. And as it realigns, thumbs up, as it realigns, as those tissues start to mold back together, you're going to help that process along by movement. And that's a lot of what we see in, like, an example of this is when we're rehabbing and you have had some sort of major knee surgery, say, and you are going to PT and you're working on your range of motion. Why is range of motion an issue? The knee was immobile for X amount of time, and now we're having to break loose some scar tissue. We're working on that tissue remodeling to increase our range of motion so that you can get back to normal issues. Now, in that situation, that example, there's no real way to have a major knee surgery and continue moving your knee immediately after surgery. There's some of those things are necessary, but there's a lot of times where I think we like get sored up, or we have some sort of, and we're like, oh, I just need to rest. Man, like, just being immobile is actually probably the worst thing that you can do. And in some cases, it actually will set you back farther just by being immobile than if you were to continue moving, like you guys are saying.
Yeah. Being not moving it's the devil.
It will definitely prolong your recovery.
Yeah, exactly, Paul. No, you got to keep moving, guys, girls. If you're hurting, obviously listen to your doctors, get the diagnoses, and see what you can do from there. But there's always things to do. We do it all the time with athletes, and it's good for your mental when you're going through things, something like that too. It keeps you working, keeps you moving forward, and gives you goals to keep reaching forward that show you that you're getting better. Which is, again, you got to adjust your outlook here during these times. So many people get down on, oh, I'm hurt, I can't do anything. Well, no, this is a great opportunity to grow and to get better, to take those weaknesses out and make them strengths, So starting with some exercises is going to be great. Again, getting your doctor's recommendations and then talking with a coach is going to be our number one recommendation there on picking exercises. Core and stability work is another great way that you can add in some things to do while you're injured. That for the most part, depending on, again, what your injuries are, you can work on these things. You can work on your core in many different capacities and many different ways. I mean, you could do it as simply as just sitting down and leaning to the side and controlling those obliques. Like, it's easy, right? So building your core strength is only going to help everything, and especially in recovery. I did a lot of balance stuff when I was doing my back, and it was just simple, like single leg stands. And I would notice a big difference after surgery in my left side was way weaker than my right. In this, like, I couldn't control my glute as well. I don't know if it's how the nerves, how everything got cut. I don't know. It was how it was. And it took me a while to get better at it, but I got better at it every single day. Like, even if it was a couple seconds better, I got to see progress. And over, like a month, like, oh, I can hold it for 60 seconds. Everything's catching up now. It just, improving your proprioception is also going to help after the injury in preventing, hopefully, or mitigating other injuries, right? Knowing where you are in space, working on your balance. It's one of those things that is super easy, so we skip over it a lot. But when it's about the only thing you can do, it's a great time to work on that. And you're going to see a lot of benefits from that. What else you guys got?
Yeah, especially like late stages of lower body injuries, when you can start to return to, like, say, walking or like light exercise and stuff like that. Any low impact movements or balance training is going to be vital for your recovery process, because maybe you broke your ankle and you're allowed to walk on it now, and you still have some restrictions. Obviously, you can't go leg press, but you can do some stands or something like that along those lines, where you can start to build up those tiny little stabilizer muscles and bring them back to where they were before. And then it just sets you up for when you are finally released. Now you can move into the next stage of building strength again.
And that's what a lot of these modalities that we use incorrectly, like a BOSU ball. It's what they were designed for. So they're designed for rehabilitation. And that's where if you have a good PT, like that's where you're going to be doing. You're like, I've got a client that had a knee surgery, bullfighter. He's coming back, and I'm seeing all kinds of videos of what he's doing in PT, and that's what they're doing. It's all kinds of that instability work, right? And we're working the ankles, we're getting everything back. And he's like, hey, when we get back to training, could we incorporate some of this? And I'm explaining that, that those instability exercises, not that we should never work on balance when we're resistance training, but if you're healthy enough to work on actually resistance training and producing force, that's the goal right there, right? And rehab, the goal is becoming stable enough, working those ligaments and those tendons, everything in there working in your ankle, in your knee, in your hip to support your weight and balance. That's crucial time. And so that's definitely a part of a rehabilitation program. And I think you can look at any PT's knee recovery protocol, and it's going to have a lot of those tools in there for stability.
I still put those in as accessory work into all my strength programs. I just believe that you can't not do those stability exercises, because eventually you will. The more weight you add to a body or a lift, the more stability and strength you need throughout those. And that's something I witnessed a lot with CrossFit, was guys were freakishly strong and they were fucking hurt all the time because they hit these certain percentages and their body couldn't take it anymore. But you break them down to these super basic stability drills and they couldn't hold an isometric lunge hold for 15 seconds. It's like,
I'm talking about standing on a BOSU. I'm talking about standing on a ball or a foam pad. Single leg swaps and that kind of stuff are definitely a part. But if you're spending the majority of your resistance training exercise with a strength and conditioning coach completely without injury on a BOSU ball doing instability exercises, you're not hitting the low hanging fruit there.
No,
you know what I'm saying? You're not moving forward.
No, you're just trying to recreate the thing in the arena in the gym, and it's not going to work.
Bingo.
But yet I still see it happening all the time.
Yep.
All the time. What about machines?
Oh, yeah. Machines are huge because they keep the as opposed to free weights, your range of motion is going to be controlled, right? So there's a locked in trajectory of the range of motion. Like you're doing a chest press machine, you don't have to worry about necessarily stabilizing. Again, like we get into some of the stabilizers, so you're not having to worry about stabilizing the dumbbell or the barbell as you come down, and it's going to allow you to really focus on moving in a range of motion without the stabilizing things. And so again, it depends on where you're at in your rehab process. I mean, man, you get to release to start working out. Those dumbbells are going to be a huge tool for somebody coming back from a shoulder surgery in making you work those stabilizers, right? So it really just kind of depends on the stage of which you're at your recovery. But machines are a great way. I can't speak. A great way to make sure that we're not going to re-injure things, because that range of motion, that trajectory of the bar or of the resistance is locked in. And so, man, you can really focus on the contraction as opposed to all the stabilizing as well.
And sometimes you're just limited by the setup of a specific exercise. Like Tyler's example, he has a broken collarbone. He can't go back squat right now, but he can easily do leg presses or leg extensions on a machine. And so sometimes it's just the nature of the exercise is going to be impossible with a specific injury, but a machine will allow you to work the same or similar muscles in a safe way.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yep, I'm a big fan of them. Modifying things. Isometric holds are a great way to add in some exercises. If you have an upper body injury, lunge holds like we were just talking about, those will burn you up. You'll see a lot of improvement from those. What about cardio during injuries? What do you guys recommend there?
Well, I think Paul talked about it earlier. Any kind of cardiovascular activity that you can do is going to increase blood flow, which is going to help, right? Anything that you can safely do. If you've got a upper body injury, say like Tyler, hopping on the bike and spending some time on the bike, just increasing blood flow, getting your heart rate up. Well, it's a great opportunity. A lot of times when we're healthy and we're rodeoing, we don't necessarily have a ton of time to invest in just general cardiovascular adaptations. Well, when you've got a broken collarbone, better time. You can't do a lot of other lifts. And so not only is it going to help your recovery, like Paul touched on earlier, but it's also an opportunity for you to get 1% better, increasing your cardiovascular fitness.
Yeah. And low impact too, especially if you have a
That's what I was
broken
gonna say.
bone. You don't want to be jostling that thing
Low
around.
intensity.
Yep.
Yeah. So low intensity, steady state over a long duration, things like a bike or an elliptical. If you have a broken bone, I would, it's hard to say the treadmill there's going to be maybe times for it, but it might be a little bit too high impact, or any just road running in general might be too high impact for that bone at the specific stage. Walking would probably be fine. Yeah.
Walking's great. Even with a collarbone, you jog, you're going to be like, nope, fuck that. That hurts. That is not fun. One of my favorites is walking in a pool. I'll go to a pool and walk in the water, and you'll be surprised with how much exercise you get from that. And it's just no gravity in the water, so it takes a lot of that tension off of the bones and everything. But
and then you have the forward resistance too of the water.
I would do like walk forwards, walk backwards, sidestep all the way down, sidestep the other way, dude. And I'm talking about your glutes, hips are lit up, and it's a great workout and super easy to do. So it's getting towards summertime, a little warmer temps. It might be refreshing to go try that out if you have access to a pool. Last thing I want to touch on here is kind of psychological benefits that can come from exercising while recovering from an injury. And I think the biggest thing is obviously sitting still just drives people nuts. We talked about that. Not moving is the devil, like I said. So it can get to you. It can weigh you down quickly. It can make you feel like you are never going to get to where you're going. And so being able to move and to find things to do while you're recovering is only going to help that mental resilience. It's going to help you kind of overcoming the setbacks, strengthen that mindset, and keep you moving forward each day, which is going to have a positive impact on how you're looking at your recovery, which, believe it or not, your outlook on how things are going really does determine a lot on how you recover. If you don't feel like you're getting better, if you feel like everything's going shitty, it's probably going to take you a while to get back, or seem like an eternity. And like that perspective too, you're working every day a little bit at a time on this recovery, and you're getting a little better. That time flies by when you're seeing the changes getting better and you improving. So also setting up the routine. Having a routine is important for any time in life, but especially when you are going through an injury or a setback. Maintaining a training schedule is it's everything. The second I'm off a schedule, my life is in shambles. So especially, when I was going through injuries or things where I had to sit out from something I really loved, like putting on there every day my list of things to do, whether, my recovery sessions, I was going to read a mental book for this amount of time. I was going to get outside and go walk for this amount of time. I was going to cook my meals this time, because your eating also really affects how you recover as well, right? But those are things that we've talked about a lot on this show. Having the routine, writing out your day, all of that builds resiliency and a positive outlook. So you guys have anything else to add to the psychological benefits?
I would just say, like, when you're injured, it can be devastating. Like, it can feel like, oh crap, the goal that I had is totally thwarted now. Like, what is the meaning of life? Like, why did this happen to me? You have the tendency to want to just half-ass it when you're sitting at home. You're not wanting to. The drive might not be there anymore, just for a brief period, because you're just down on yourself. And setting up a schedule and maintaining a regimen where you are working back towards your goal. So like, then you think of it more of just a bump in the road, not as this changed my goal forever. That can have a huge benefit for when you are actually released. Now you feel like, oh, over these last 6 weeks or these last 8 weeks, I've still been putting in the work. And now you're confident to move into your return to sport conditioning way more than if you were, sitting at home and hadn't done a whole lot. And then it comes time to like, oh crap, I'm released. Now I better get my butt in gear. Well, if your butt stayed in gear the whole time, you don't have to worry about that.
Boom.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. The last thing that I would add in here, and it's not necessarily about the mental side of things, is that not all surgeons are created equal.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are in the spot where you've had the worst of the worst diagnosis and surgery is on board for you, there is a difference between your local surgeon at your local hospital and specialists. And I would highly recommend getting multiple opinions from multiple surgeons. And if possible, if you have a hip injury, find a place that only does hips. Specialize, find somebody that can handle. For example, there's a lot of labral issues with rough stock athletes, a lot of hip impingements, a lot of those kind of things. And I've heard of lots of bull riders, bareback riders, rough stock riders that have had that surgery done by a surgeon that does all kinds of surgeries, and it never fails. It could be on the part of the athlete, but a lot of times there's issues with the recovery. And then you go to a place like the Nashville Hip Institute, shameless plug, but that's where I had my hip done. Dr. Bird there works only on athletes, and that's all he does is hips. Every day, all day, he just looks at hips. And I followed their recovery protocol to a T. Their rehab, if it said 10 to 12 reps, I did 12, but I didn't do 13. If it said 2 to 3 sets, I did 3 sets, but I didn't do 4. I followed it exactly to the T, and I came back 2 weeks earlier than I was supposed to, and I've never had any issues out of that hip again. Not all surgeons are created equal. Do your due diligence when it comes to looking into the doctor that you're going to use, the surgeon that you're going to use, the physical therapist that you're going to use. Just because your cousin's sister's aunt is a PT in your hometown doesn't mean she knows anything about bullfighting. And just because it's free doesn't mean that it's actually going to help you get back in the arena. If you're a professional athlete and you're committed to your craft, you'll do whatever it takes to make sure that you're better after your injury, not just barely getting by. And that might mean you have to actually pay, or you have to fly someplace for surgery. You can't just go down the street to the local doctor. So do your work, do your homework, pay attention, get it done by somebody that specializes in those things for athletes and that understands the demands that you're going to expect of your body when you get healthy.
Yeah, that's crucial. And that last part, getting a doctor that understands what your body's going to go through, which there are very few out there, is really important. And if they don't, and they're really good at surgeries, that's great too. But on your recovery side, like, be talking to other people that can give you some advice on the comeback time, because we see it all the time. Guys get released, they go back, and they are injured again so damn fast that you can't even blink. And they don't know what went wrong. And we're sitting here going, everything. What the, like, what were you doing? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah. So I think we'd be remiss if we didn't hit that. When you are released to return to sport, you are not done with your recovery process.
No.
You still have to go through a reconditioning phase. And that is probably the biggest thing that I see in rodeo that leads to career-ending injuries eventually, because it'll be injury after injury after injury in a row. And then, by that third or fourth one happens, they can't ever come back because they're just done. When you get released, when your doctor says, yep, you can get on bulls now, you are not ready to get on bulls. Even though the doctor said that the injury is healed enough to withstand it, you are not ready. You have to go through some type of reconditioning phase, whether that's 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. You have to get back in riding shape before you go and put yourself back through that. And, I struggle with that with my own athletes. I'm sure you guys too, but they're like, yep, I got released today and I went and got on practice bulls. It's like, okay, well, cool. You should have told me you got released before you got on practice bulls, because you probably aren't ready to get on practice bulls yet. Like, we should have, we haven't even turned up the dial on your training yet. Like, we have to get you back to where you're able to withstand that type of physicality that you're about to go through. So that's one thing, because, I did it. And like, a lot of the things we talk about on here, it's not what we did in our own experiences. It's what we would avoid if we had to go back. And so like, what I would avoid if I had to go back, if I could do it all over again, when I got released from a doctor, I would not go get on bulls that day or that week. Like, I would go through some type of reconditioning phase and make sure I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it's huge. and so important. And it's not said enough. And what I think Logan said about go get a couple different opinions is the best thing you can do. Again, we're not doctors, but even as coaches, not all coaches are created equal either. So you need to do your research. And this, dude, surgeries, you're affecting your body forever. You're changing it. It'll never be the same. And that's something that people don't say either. It could be as good as you were before. No, you probably won't. It's never going to be the exact same. You can get definitely to equal and to feeling just as good, but like it's going to be a little different, right? So you got to keep training. You've got to do your recovery right. And the recovery doesn't end after you're released. It continues on. And we see this all the time, even with little injuries like nagging shoulder stuff. They'll do all the little rehab stuff, the internal, external rotation. It'll go away. They'll stop doing the exercises. 4 weeks later, back to the same exact spot. Have you been doing your PT stuff that the PT gave you? No. Why not? Well, because it stopped hurting. Well, now it's hurting again because you stopped doing it. You have to continue that thing forever. And that's why if you don't do your own training or you do your own training and you're not a professional at this, you'll miss those things in your programming. And then your program isn't doing you justice because you're creating imbalances. And then that shows up in the arena, and then it just is this long downhill roll, So if you're going through times like this, experiencing constant injuries, like, again, find a good doctor. And after that, hire a coach that can help you on the recovery side. Work with your PTs, create a strength program for you to make your rehabilitation go correctly. It's huge. It really does matter. And especially if you're a really young athlete and you're getting injured a lot, you need to stop what you're doing and reassess and get some help from professionals, because injuries, blowing your knee out multiple times before the age of 16 is not, it's bad. It's bad. Yeah. And I know people listening, it's either your kid or you that's done that before, and it's preventable. So get some help, get some professionals to help you out with some strength training, some recovery, some rehab, whatever it is. It'll change everything for your game. But hopefully you guys got something out of this little breakdown. Again, we're not doctors, but we deal with athletes with injuries all the time. And when we get to work with their docs, it's so refreshing, right? The communication being opened up and just like, here, this is where they're at. This is what they can do, what they can't do. Dude, it's so easy. It's exactly how it should be. And it's been really good. We've seen a big increase in that. Even with sports med teams, other people like checking in with us and helping us out with helping the athletes, which is who this is all about. Like, we started this to help the rodeo athletes, right? All these things, doctors, sports med, they're all there to help the rodeo athletes. So when we all get to work together, it's huge. It helps rodeo get better and helps cowboys and cowgirls elevate their game to higher levels. If you guys have any questions about this, please shoot us messages, DM, email, whatever. If you have questions about, like who to go see, where to go, like, we can always find resources for you and try and get you some help with any kind of injuries that you're dealing with. But if you guys need any other help, you can always send us an email on the webpage. If you have any ideas for podcast topics, would love to hear them. Shoot them over. I've had a couple of people email me about the FaceTime training, which I thought was really cool. They listened to the episode and were like, hey, I'm actually kind of interested in that. So I actually have my first session with one of them here next week. Or 2 weeks, after the school. But if you guys are interested in that, we're definitely kind of starting to try some new things for you guys, bring you guys more value. And speaking of that, Champion Living Fitness app, we have been going ham on that. I have done so many demo videos. I think my life is a demo video at this point. But it's awesome. Full explanations of what's going on during the movements. It's not just a video of the person moving. We are coaching you through everything. Again, the app is like an introduction to what we do. This is where you get a taste of our training. You can get some sport specific, event specific help, depending on what event that you're in the arena. And even if you're not a rodeo athlete, we do have plans for non-rodeo athletes. And I've got the Rodeo Mom program is coming soon, which will be body weight bands, just to get you moving and keep you active with your kids. If you're a mom that's interested in that, stay tuned. We'll be definitely dropping that here the next month. But But yeah, if you want to get an idea of what we do and what our workouts look like, check out the Champion Living Fitness app. It's free to download. And I just made it the first week to every program is free. So you guys can go check them all out, download the app, do the workouts the first week. And if you want to continue on, you can go ahead and buy it. But it's super affordable. And you can do them anywhere, which is the best part. Guys, until next time, we'll catch you later. Y'all, if you're having trouble sleeping or you've got really achy muscles, Power Pro CBD has teamed up with us to bring you their tinctures and their warming lotions. Guys, these have been a crucial part of my nightly routine. Y'all can check them out at PowerPro, PWRpro.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, to save you a good chunk of discount.
If you want to learn more about our coaches and program options, make sure to swing over to our website at www.championlivingfitness.com. You can fill out the Become an Athlete form to set up your free consultation and have all your questions answered by a coach.